Loud. Here we go. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Epic Family Zoom number 6. Julia, Leah, and I are ecstatic to be here with you today and really excited about the direction that we're going and ready to hit next session. So here we are, creating abundance and wealth in our work and our families' lives for us and those we lead. And we are super committed to your success and your abundance and your wealth in every area of your life. Our next Zoom will be November 2nd, which is a Thursday. And also to remind you that Leah and Julia can respond to the chat while I'm sharing today. So today it's my turn to take the primary lead. And so I'm going to talk with you about 4 bullet points today. First, the strategy behind the initial inventory conversation. Second, overcoming inventory objections without creating a wall. Third, a recap of new consultant ed and ways to approach it. And fourth, the growing leader's response to courage and challenge. So let's start with strategy. Unless there's some overall, well thought out master plan for what you want to include in your new consultant education packet or website or emails or BombBomb or Scipio texting campaign. See all those options? Unless there's some well thought out master plan, you will default to good enough where circumstances and season of life trump preparation. And that's very risky. So I want to take you on a story that you may or may not have heard before. And it's the story of my family moving to Bowling Green from Florida, where I built the biggest part of my business, the only part of my Mary Kay business. And when we moved from Kentucky to Florida in my 7th year of directorship, following our first $1 million year, I had to pivot fast to create systems that would hold up the foundation that I'd built. My physical presence is what I thought was my trump card, because in Florida, I had a 4-chapter revolving new consultant education every Thursday night and new consultant inventory next step presentation live the hour before unit meeting every week. People came to me and I created value in that gathering. They didn't get recaps of what they missed on the internet because there wasn't one. And I had built from personal strength, personal charisma, and personal presence. So a move to Kentucky forced me to consider how I could multiply myself both locally and out of town. Again, no Facebook, no websites, no cell phones or texting, no YouTube or any other tool we currently use today. I want you to put yourself in the mindset of thinking, how can I maximize myself without all of that? So when we moved to Kentucky, Thomas was 4 months old. Shortly after a call from Linda Tupin, when I got here, she introduced me to VoiceTel. It was the first voice messaging technology entered into my world. That year alone, it cost me $18,000 to use that system. And people wonder if they should mail their newsletters. I want to interject a thought from a book that I'm reading on the ideal team player. It says that the ideal team player has 3 qualities. She's hungry, she's humble, and she's smart. I was hungry to lead from my best self and to get world-class results. In addition to that technology, in addition to other recordings that I would duplicate on a cassette tape player and snail mail to 300 unit members that Jerry and I would actually physically package to mail, I started recording a monthly unit meeting from my office with recognition and education, just like it was in real life. Duplicating and snail mailing it often with handouts. Cost and time were not considerations. I was hungry. My first hire was an in-house babysitter who would be here 4 hours a day, 5 days a week while I worked. So I had to be extremely intentional with those 20 hours a week, knowing the only other available hours would be as it worked out with Thomas's sleep schedule and mine and Jerry's design for family time. I recognized I needed systems, repeatable, transferable, duplicatable for situations that would recur in my business so that it would not take me repeat energy every time I had to implement them. I'll narrow the focus just to the system of the new consultant coming into Mary Kay. But I recall taking every piece of paper I had ever created or ever used for all the skills in the business, starting with new consultants. We started on the 3rd floor of our home. And I came down the stairs and I put every piece of paper that I wanted or liked on the floor. There was a paper trail from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor, down the hallways and down the stairs. And I kept going back and forth from the 3rd floor to the 1st, pulling and restacking and adding or deleting one of those papers. The paper trail was pretty hilarious. From this point and through that exercise, I made the question, a new consultant comes into my unit, what does she need to know? This is strategy. There was no MKU, no library. I had to think, what does every new beauty consultant need to know? I came up with simply 3 things. The 3 P's to success, the Gen X program, keep her and move her up. What would that look like? I purged, I evaluated, I edited, I combined ideas and pages, and that became my first new consultant packet. There were no company systems. I would later be one of a handful of writers to author Career Essentials for our new consultant education. The reason I go through that old history story, and for some of you it's like, oh my gosh, you can't tell that story again. The reason I go through that is the biggest strategy that any leader can masterfully implement is the one that she takes the time to consider, because that's the one she will have ownership in. Strategy includes personal ownership. So the strategy you're creating for your new consultant is 4-fold. 1, it's the topic of her initial inventory. 2, her first and next steps to get her initial 3P victories under her belt: profit, power start, and pearls. 3, to segue her into our power program and repeat star. And 4, to close the back door and keep her for life. As technology advanced, systems shifted. I just re-edited just this past weekend my new consultant campaign on Scipio again to add a booking script earlier in the campaign prior to the 21-day booking challenge. Because of the ease of edit of a text campaign, that was a simple tweak. Let's talk strategy. It's the equivalent of being intentional. Some people have a negative connotation with the word strategic, as if someone in a relationship of 2 or more, if one has more strategy that comes naturally to them, they might in some way have an advantage over a more spontaneous person. And that might be true. As a child, my sister and brother always thought ahead of where they would sit in the car long before it became important to me. We'd be halfway to our destination before I realized I was in the middle seat again. I was the most congenial of the 3 of us, also the least confrontive and the more inclusive. So I didn't grow up being strategic. Strategy entered my world as a high school teacher when I had to have lesson plans turned in by a deadline, when I was accountable for grading 100 papers per student per semester in order to get my final summertime checks. I translated that strategy into the Mary Kay world when I realized if I had a way of doing things, a certain way of doing things, I would spend less time wondering if I'd actually done them. Did I say that to her? Did I say this to her? Man, that really went well. Do I say that again? Will I remember to say that again? If I told the newest consultant one specific thing, and I came to realize that my personal presence, my actual voice, it had a limitation. But if I could find ways to duplicate it and consistently say the same things and mail it or send it through technology, I could multiply my influence. I could grow in additional zip codes and keep my investment of knowledge, wisdom, and winning habits growing deep in our future national area, long past my personal team members or first-line directors. That is strategy and systems in tandem. Both the Category 5 Hurricane Andrew in 1992 that hit just before our first top director trip to London, Dublin, and our move to Kentucky were turning points to teach me some lessons I would not need to learn twice. If you don't know why you could benefit from strategy or how or where you'd implement it, you'll never do it. As I share these lessons with you, consider your why, your how, and your where. 1, I needed 7 zip codes. I needed to build my unit in 7 zip codes. 3 or 4 of them needed to be 100 miles apart. When it was hurricane season in Florida, it wasn't snowing in Pennsylvania, and it was beautiful fall in Kentucky, for example. Hungry. I was hungry to figure that out. Number 2, in order to grow, I would need my personal voice in multiple places. I had a baby. I didn't want to travel a lot. This forced me to create systems that could deliver message, education, inspiration, and challenge without my personal presence, but still feel personal. And in order to grow, I would need to create consistency in the message, and intention about implementing this on schedule and without fail. I was unwilling to give the growth of my unit and future area to adopted directors. What's your story? Have you known you needed to pivot but continued to delay out of indecisiveness or lacking commitment or procrastination or technology know-how or some other? From this point forward, what would be the advantages to your business to invest time in creating or updating the most minimal but important first steps to your business? Let's revisit. The strategy you're creating for new consultants is fourfold. First, the topic of initial inventory. Second, her first and next steps to get her 3P victories under her belt. Third, to segue her into our power program and repeat star. And fourth, to close the back door and keep her for life. In order to get to the other topics, I'm going to only break down the number one, the topic of initial inventory and the strategy behind it. Once you think through a strategy for one thing, you can apply that way of thinking to absolutely anything. So let's talk about the thoughts for considering your independent beauty consultant inventory strategy. Number one, the new beauty consultant knows nothing. If you don't take charge of informing her, she has limited places to seek information. Her recruiter, another independent beauty consultant, a relative or friend, or the internet. You had better take charge. Number two, what might she be thinking? Her hopes, her fears. What will she need to hear from me to educate, to assure, and to encourage her? Number three, what would be some of her natural concerns or fears? Number four, what are the 4 personality styles and how can I design communication that appeals to all styles without putting my style on the throne of her life? Number 5, what are the different money habits of people I know or who have come to my unit throughout its history? Number 6, why would I invest money today? Number 7, what would I need to know about a leader I was counting on guiding me, mentoring and coaching me in order for me to have confidence and to take her advice? Number 8, what are some common pitfalls people have made with their Mary Kay investment? Number 9, how can I guide her to dodge those? Number 10, what do I have to offer her that will alleviate her fears and swell her dreams? Number 11, can she count on me? Number 12, can I count on me? Number 13, do I really have steps to guide her to her next step without lags in between? Number 14, what does our company offer that is unique to any other investment she might make? Number 15, what's the best method for me to deliver this message to her? Number 16, is this a message I can let someone else deliver? There are other questions, and those aren't the only questions. Those are some questions, and I'll make these available to you once the Zoom is over. Let's look at some reasons that we don't put systems into place. I've listed several of them. Here are some reasons we don't put systems in place. 1, we're overwhelmed and we can't divide the different systems or tasks we want or need to implement or update into categories. We can't prioritize them. We don't take the time to. We stay in motion trying to play catch up. And we know that when we set a system, we're going to have to change it anyway and before too long. And so we're just overwhelmed, so we don't do anything. Number 2, let's face it, we're not sure we're all in. Number 3, we spend more time thinking about our limiting beliefs and our fears than we do our big dreams and visions. Number 4, we haven't updated our own dream board or our own goal poster for the seminar year. We don't have people to put through our systems, and so we can still personally train each individual. We're indecisive as to how we want to execute it. Paper, online, text. We haven't investigated what's in the Start Something Beautiful magazine. Maybe everything is there. Or NKU to know what already exists so that we could use some of that if we would just put it in a system. What, if any of those, are relevant for you? And what would it take for you to identify your reason and process through to get to a place of decision and action? And when will you set up a coaching call with your senior or your national if that's what's needed to take your next step? Let's talk about some mistakes we make when we do put a system in place. It's really 3. 1, way too much information. 2, way too much paper. 3, way too much repetition for what's available in her starter kit. So think from her perspective, okay? Recently, I was proofreading something for my attorney who's implementing a system of teaching people how to literally have a paperless office. And he asked me to read part of the mission statement. It was pages long, beautifully written, but clearly by someone who loves communication and words. And since I'm like that, I'm like, okay. Here's my feedback. You're sharing a service that says, I'm going to simplify your life. But I don't believe you. because I want to bite myself reading all this information about how you're going to do that. So be aware of the subconscious messages you're giving to your new beauty consultant in everything you do, in everything you say, and in everything you send her way. Does it on some level say, you've started a business from a 54-year legacy of success, countless million-dollar earners in an epic family of extraordinary achievers. Sister, you have hit the jackpot. You are with me and you are with us. Does it say that? That's a good start. Does it say this? Hey, sister, this is simple. One first step decision, and I'm going to guide you to the best decision for you. Does it say that? Does it say, hey, you can get started and have a wildly successful launch to your business without knowing a whole lot? Experience is going to be your best teacher, and I've got your back. Does it say that? There's a good, better, and best way to inventory your business based on your goals. Let's find your best way. Does it say, I understand credit. I know credit scores because my senior national Julia Burnett told me all about that, and I'm going to give you the best and most current advice available. We're in this together. I have a vision that I'm committed to, and that vision includes you. You know what? I know your goal. I remember your why, and I'm going to carry it with me. I'm going to match my interest and effort with yours. We'll go at your pace, but with my experience, and I'll push you as far as you'll let me. Or does yours say, well, you started a business, Mary Kay, 54 years, welcome. Hey, you know what? This takes a lot of time, a lot of study, a lot of effort, a lot of education. Read this, no, read this, read here, no, memorize this, say this. Or, you know what, just get started with some inventory. We can always up it a little bit later. No vision. She has no idea where she fits in. You haven't repeated her reason or given any indication that you remember why she came in. And pace and timing and rewards aren't mentioned. So those are two contrasts, for example. If you by nature are a seat of the pants kind of person, you may actually under-equip a beauty consultant. If you're a high C personality and you feel the need for a lot of resources and explanation, it's possible you will overwhelm her with so much information that it shuts her down, and you hear about as fast as you heard her, yes, you know, Mary Kay's great, but I'm just so busy right now. Maybe you're going to put this on the back burner for later. Your strategy has to appeal to both feelers and thinkers, to people from all strength sets and all personality styles. That's why it cannot be one or the other. So with your current communication strategy and systems, and although I'm talking initial inventory right now, you can apply this to anything that you execute. With your current communication strategy and systems, would you get you off to a power start? Would you get you off to a profit decision? Pearl Achiever. Could you move you to Red Jacket in 30 to 60 days? What can you do or tweak or rewrite in this conversation to be more consistent, universally appealing, and in motion ASAP? The downside of not loving your new consultant welcome and inventory chat is that you will, at least on a subconscious level, you will avoid bringing anybody new in. Or if you do, you'll likely lead her down the path of least resistance, 225 or 600 wholesale. The downside of not loving your unit meeting is exactly the same. If you don't love it, why would they come? The value you bring to someone's life, the value you bring, you add, you enrich to someone's life, her vision, her future hopes, her dreams, it's going to be equal to their show up. It takes courage to say, I'm going to take you on a journey you would not otherwise experience. It takes a hungry leader to mean it, to say, I want to know what you want because I believe our opportunity can bring that home to you, and I'm the leader to take you there. I'm a visionary, hardworking leader you can trust. I will teach you and I will show you how to be profitable and how to make these dreams your reality. With this template, you get her started and you keep her moving. Hungry, humble, and smart. Humble isn't meek or weak. It isn't making yourself second. It's just as prideful to downplay your gifts as it is to be a know-it-all and always take the conversation and demand center of attention status. Humble includes acknowledging that God has gifted you uniquely to fulfill the call He has placed on your leadership, and He has equipped you through the Mary Kay Company to use them wildly effective for His glory in your and other lives. Humble means I respect the system that's over me, that I implement fair and consistent systems, easy for me to say, for others to participate in, that I don't overplay my importance or underplay my strengths. So I'm working with my people. I also have to listen. This is where I want to talk with you about objections about inventory. When I agreed to take on the topic of inventory objections, I thought it would be simple because I don't have many objections. I don't have all 3,600s, but I don't have people who want to work this business giving me the lame excuse of not welcoming my initial advice, expertise, or coaching. So I want to make my first statement about objections be this. Most of them can be overcome if we are intentional and operate out of anticipated prevention. How is that? I've recorded and texted these repeated messages, okay? They're going to hear this over and over before we get to an objection. So I lay out in the beginning, this is a lot. I think it was Leah who first said, this is like a fire hose coming up your nose in the beginning. It's a lot coming at you. I'm acknowledging her perspective, what she might be feeling. And I'm with you. We're going to take this on together, one step at a time. So I'm empathizing with her. That's the first step to overcoming an objection before you get it. Another way, I'm your coach. I'm your business advisor. I'm going to give you advice that's going to grow your success based on my 31 years experience. It only benefits me when you succeed. I only reach my goals when I help you discover and reach yours. I will match my time, interest, and effort with yours to grow your business, your abundance, and your wealth. I'm all about your dreams and your increase. Here's what playing ball looks like. I toss it out. You have the challenge and the decision or action. It's in your court. You do it, you throw the ball back to me. I have another ball ready to toss. You don't do it, I won't be chasing you down. I have a step-by-step system to teach you this business. When you take my advice and the steps, you're going to get results. So do you first and foremost, do you know what she wants? What amount of money she wants to earn and what for? What she saw as a value to coming into Mary Kay. Why did she say yes? Is she a thinker or a feeler? What's her general personality style? Do you know that? Number two, get to her fast. As soon as that agreement comes in. Leah reminded us a couple weeks ago that for every day a new beauty consultant delays in making her decision, she will choose $600 less than she would have. So are you staying with her to create that decision? 3, stay fast on your feet to offer coping strategies for her, problem solving for you both. Number 4, do you know if she's confused at any point? Confusion is the killer for all productivity. So for a strong leader D personality, can you pivot and dodge your systems, but still give her solid guidance and coaching? Let's say you have a brand new person coming in and she's a strong D personality. Can you dodge some of those steps and just say, okay, bare bones fast track is this: initial inventory decision, power start booked and held, your first team member, and unit meeting attendance? Can you pivot and know that she doesn't need to do all the steps that someone with less experience and slower personality style might need? It's not baby or bathwater. You never throw them both out together. You do have to have the systems in place, but you have to recognize when it might be a good idea to bypass them for someone who has more leadership experience or a faster personality. She's eventually going to get to the power program, and it's eventually going to make a difference for her because she will have to teach other people duplicatable, repeatable systems that maybe she did not do because she's not going to have 100% of the people like her. So given all of that, what are some common objections still, and where do they come from? Before we detail a couple of objections, let's consider what we've learned about recruiting objections. 1, we know they are a request for more information and for a display of stronger leadership. We know that recruiting objections are a request for more information, and they're looking for how strong the leadership is. We know recruiting objections before we get them. We know where the common ones are coming from. They're rooted in fear and uncertainty. And our role as a recruiter is to weaken her fear, strengthen her vision, clarify her dreams, while presenting a leadership model of stability and competence and all-in guidance. So in addressing each objection one at a time during the recruiting interview, repeating it one at a time and asking a few questions, we process the fear and into action, which results in the yes. But we all know this, right? The better interview on the front end actually invites and overcomes those thoughts, concerns, and fears before they become last-minute objections. The fewer objections come at the end if they've been overcome in the beginning. Finding her hot button, her why, her picture, purpose, passion, possibility. The less of a maybe or later or I'm not sure you're going to get at the end. Once I became a new beauty consultant at that fateful meeting at the deli at 9 o'clock, Mr. D's, with Nancy and Libby. When we left that meeting, Nancy said, orientation will be tomorrow night at my house. It's at 6:30. Here's the address. It wasn't, I hope you can come. I'll meet you at your schedule. It was, it's tomorrow night at my house. I went. I didn't plan on doing anything with Mary Kay, but she told me my next step. And so I went. How clear is your, the leader, expectation in communication with your new BD consultants? Orientation is tomorrow night at my house. And then after the presentation at her house of inventory options, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any credit cards. I didn't have any credit. I didn't even know how to go to a bank. She didn't say, I'm going to make my problem yours. She said, I know you're a find a make a way person. I know you're a find a way, make a way person. And you know what? I was. And I found star inventory. To manage objections, consider what common ones are and address them in your next step conversation before you get them. What are some common objections as it relates to inventory? I don't have the money. We don't have good credit. I don't have any credit. I don't want to go into debt. I'll see how it goes, and then if I do well, I'll invest. I know a successful consultant who started with only $600. I don't have any room in my house for inventory. My husband isn't for this idea. I'm not sure how much time I'm going to have. There are more, but these are common. And each of these completely discounts why she signed her agreement. I'm going to repeat this. Every one of those objections can be easily communicated and is covered through a story in my next step video and in what Julia and Leah and some of you also present. Julia's amazing presentation to you 2 weeks ago about credit scores, credit options, banks, and loans was stellar. And it will behoove you to own that in a way that she presented it so you stand before your unit competent in this area. Keep in mind that she didn't start the business with all of those objections in mind. She started the business because you were competent in presenting the marketing plan, what's in it for her, giving her a picture of her purpose, her passion, and her future, and you overcame her objections and got her yes. So these other objections did not exist at that time. How can you translate your communication and your competence, and this is the next step, and get to the same level of professionalism that you give her next step and bring her to the same acceptance of, okay, this is my next step. There are unspoken objections that you may have so that you don't even address or overcome hers. And let's talk about your, perhaps, objections. Might sound like this. I could take some of these on. I got into debt myself. I don't want to get anybody else into debt. I can't book parties. I cannot book today. So how can I teach her how to book? I haven't had a new star consultant in so long, I can't remember who she was. I can't remember even who did a power start and transitioned into the power program. These or other limiting beliefs need work. And you can either sit on them and stew on them and create creases in your thought pattern and let that thought take up mental real estate that's valuable in your brain, or you can become a problem solver, an overcomer, and pivot only to emerge stronger, more convinced, convincing, a leader by example, and someone who moves others in the direction of their dreams through this opportunity, hungry, humble, and smart. I've never heard an inspiring speech or an inspiring story in this company that did not include a point of down, a point of where I was, a point of where my thoughts had gone, a point of how I had lost something, a point of how I had lost my confidence or my faith or my belief, or I had gotten in a pattern of not working that elements of the business. Every inspirational story that takes you from, wow to wow includes starting again from a place that's not so desirable. Many of the objections that you get were caused by others. Train your unit. Teach your recruiters. Teach them what to say as soon as they get a new team member. What to do as soon as they have a strong prospect. Teach them what not to say. Take the time to consider different situations and make a list. Situation number 1 for the recruiter, what to say and what not to say. Situation number 2, what to say and what not to say, and so on. Take charge of educating your recruiters and make it an ongoing part of your education to your unit and your recruiters. Right alongside new consultant systems comes a conversation to the recruiter, and I'm sure we'll pick up on that in 2018 as we consider and continue our Epic Power Zoom commitment to you. So let's say after that, after a perfect conversation to introduce her to Mary Kay, to your unit, our area, the Epic family, and her first step inventory decisions, she still presses pause. Well, your role, build a bridge, not a wall. Let her see your support, extend an arm for plan B. And what is plan B? Plan B is 24 and 24. It's 36 and 36. It's book 10 parties. It's hold a power start. If she gets disconnected from you, time, attention, it's going to be she who disconnects and not me, who didn't continually extend to give it all that I have, all in belief, all in first-rate systems, education and support, and all in plan B. We'll see what her work ethic is at this point. It would now be in her court, but I'm still going to encourage that and make sure that we have a conversation that allows me to follow up and allows her to follow back up with me to see that she is taking the guidance that I've given her. So let's do a quick recap of new consultant ed and ways to approach new consultant education. I'd like to say this, and I'd like for you to hear it loudly. For the new independent beauty consultant, fearless enthusiasm trumps skill. Your response to preparing a system of communication for your new beauty consultant is simply the well thought out, what does she really need answers for at each stage of her start? What instruction does she really need? What action steps do I really want her to take? The first 7 steps I ask mine to complete within their first 48 hours, and this is on a text campaign, are the following 7 steps. Text me back just to connect. Join our Facebook group and follow my personal page. Download Voxer, send me a Voxer message. Fill out the What Are My Goals inventory sheet. That's what tells her how many faces she wants to do and what might be a recommended start order for her. Email me a picture of yourself. Watch my next step video on YouTube, which I give her the link, and then text me what you heard me say. Those are the 7 steps. As she interacts with me, I'm going to remind her of her goal, of her what and her why. I'm texting her back after every single interaction, what amount of money she wants to earn, what's the biggest catalyst, what was the biggest catalyst for her to say yes, and to have interaction that's building trust. This gets her in motion. After that, she needs a list of people, and you need to support her in making that list as massive as she possibly can. Anybody who has skin with an asterisk, anybody that she would love to have on her team. Not that she thinks they're going to, but just to put it down there. You need a committed date for her power start, a product decision, an added personal use order with that star so that she will take product off her shelf and use it for herself. Knowledge of rewards along the way, 3Ps and epic necklace, her pearls and why, a booking script, a hostess plan, how to put her starter kit together, observe a party, go to a meeting, and then the ongoing education of booking, hostess, full circle, team building, color, party sales, and tighten the procedure on the power program. Make your own list. When you make your list of what does she really need and you think it through, what does she really need to start her business, that is going to give you the template that you need because you'll have ownership. And when you have ownership in creating it, you will absolutely want to implement it. You will not create something and then not invite somebody to come enjoy what you just created. As soon as you create it, you're like, okay, come on, bring them on, bring them on, bring them on, bring them on. And that's when the growth will occur, is when you are prepared for the growth and not repelling it, either because you don't want to get prepared or because you're parking on a limiting belief. Let's talk about the growing leader's response. Leaders are fascinated by the future and they are dissatisfied with the status quo. True leaders are fascinated by the future and they're dissatisfied with the status quo. They are hungry, they are humble, and they are smart. I want to ask you a question. When do you feel smart? When do you feel smart? I felt okay smart in school, but I feel really smart today when I'm on top of my game, thinking, strategizing, preparing, not procrastinating, being my best. I get creative when I'm at my best. Best body, best brain, best responses, best thoughts. The first action of man was to be creative. He had to name the animals. We were built for creativity and problem solving and relationship. So when the leader doesn't take time to be creative and problem solve and to bring her approach into the present with a trend for the future, she can't find the excitement or energy to do the actions that will grow her business, her organization, the individuals in her organization, or advance into the possibilities of abundance and wealth. And when any of that's compromised, well, let me put it this way. We're never standing still. If we aren't advancing, we are not advancing. We are facing the inevitable and we are descending. So if other things, other jobs, other tasks, other distractions are more important to you, your time, your thinking, your investment, it will show it. You can't attract who you're not prepared and committed to lead well. When that strong welcome and next steps are not fresh and chomping at the bit to add and multiply, not only will the leader be disqualified from attracting a new level 10 talent, she'll actually find validating circumstances that suggest either she can't or isn't motivated to find quality people. But for the growing leader, vision and knowledge must reign over any limiting belief, over any fear, or a negative version of what if. In her book, Grit, Angela Duckworth addresses one of the qualities that gritty people have, and that is being better today than I was yesterday. She follows this up by saying that you have to address your weaknesses. I replayed it. I'm listening on Audible. You have to address your weaknesses. I replayed it. You gritty people address their weaknesses. For years, I believed that this was true because it was my personal experience. I ran and accelerated my strengths. I grew in my sweet spot, and I did a lot of what I was good at. But I found that it was impossible to ignore where I was weak. I didn't give them a trophy. My weaknesses. I didn't park on what I couldn't do well, but I did find ways to identify them and to manage them and to elevate them to a new level they needed for me to be effective. But louder voices throughout the years, seemingly more authoritative than mine, told a different story, saying you should ignore your weaknesses and only work from your strengths. My journey showed me that addressing my weaknesses, which were many as it relates to the skills of Mary Kay, addressing them, managing them, delegating some, strengthening some, alongside working from my sweet spot, has served as a template for growth and satisfaction. She cited another author and someone who'd done tremendous research on this topic. Again, the name is Angela Duckworth, and she wrote the book Grit. She was a speaker at Global Leadership Summit this past year. But she used dancers and musicians and athletes, and she talked about even for those people that she quoted, people that you would know, talked about how, let's say a pianist, for example, it's not just the hours of practice, it's the hours of intentional practice. It's the hours of determined practice. And that when that person would go back to her coach or her teacher, they didn't harp on all the beautiful parts she played well. They repeated the parts she did not play well over and over and over until she had mastered what she didn't do well. When I tell you that I didn't do many things well in this business, I want to tell you that there are many things I didn't do well in this business. I can remember the day that I earned my career car, and we were celebrating me that night at the unit meeting. And I had coffee with my buddy beforehand, and I said, I'm not excited. She goes, why not? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't feel like I even know what I'm doing. And I had profile cards all over the house. They were not organized in any way. I had samples all over the house. They were not organized in any way. My natural tendency did not lend itself to strengthen business, except for exciting people, engaging people, giving them a vision, and letting them know we were going on a journey that without them, we would not otherwise be able to take. I was good at exciting people and getting people excited about the direction we were going, but I felt so behind in all of the skills. I did not feel that I had a good skincare party. It was never consistent. I didn't know what I was going to say when I got there or how it was going to go. In terms of tracking in this business, I wasn't good at tracking. I created tracking sheets and became the, quote, Mary Kay tracking queen, not out of strength, but out of weakness. I can learn how to problem solve. Say it to yourself. I can learn. I can pivot. Increase confidence that I can problem solve. I can learn. I can pivot. I can master skills that didn't come naturally to me. Because when you grit it out, gritting it out does not feel good. So if you value feeling good over gritting it out, then you'll stay where you are. But when you grit it out, you learn you can count on yourself. And when you learn that you can really count on you to book 10 personally because you and your unit need you to grow as a leader, a learner, a communicator, a confronter, a coach, then you literally stop pointing a finger at all the other people you can't count on. When I learned I could count on me, I stopped focusing on who I could not count on. If I could walk you 6 months into your future and show you all of the advantages of taking action on the contents of this hour, you would not believe the difference. The problem is I can't walk you there. You have to walk there. There is something that you can stop, and there is something that you can start that will make all the difference in the world for your future that you get to live in and realize. Grace Kehoe, owner of Master Coaching Teacher for DSWA, also cousin to NSD Kristen Sharp and niece to NSD Connie Kitson, dissected a conversation we had interview style back and forth on email, and she came to the conclusion that there are 5 definables for women who have it. This applies to you, the leader, ready for growth. It applies also to the newest beauty consultant, ready for growth. The first is desire, hungry. A desire to live and stretch and accomplish and earn and contribute and lead beyond current circumstances and present accomplishments. Desire, hungry. The second one is work ethic. Lee and I were recently talking about the whole concept of work ethic, and we've decided, and Julia, Lee, and I are going to bring work ethic back. We're bringing sexy back to work ethic. Oh, man. Who wouldn't want to enjoy the kinds of things that you see people who actually work very hard enjoy? Doing the hard thing, getting up, getting dressed, meeting people, booking, taking the rejection, networking. You know, I think of my days in Florida when you had to wear pantyhose to work your Mary Kay business. I had cheap shoes. I called them fall in the mall shoes because I fell in the mall. You know, you take a few steps, you slide on the tile, fall in the mall shoes. Literally networking with strangers and old school, passing out my business card and letting them know that I was putting together my professional women's portfolio. It was so professional. It had 3-hole punch and plastic pages sprayed with Aquanet and me doing the look on it. It was my professional portfolio, and I was going to put their business card in it. It was hard, y'all. That's when it was hard. I didn't have a cute little text. Let me text you my cute business card that I had professionally made. When it's hard, work ethic is when it's hard. What are you not doing now that's hard, that just keeps you kind of afloat? What do you need to do to get up, get dressed, meet people, book, take on rejection? Work ethic. It's not supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to look like overalls and dirt in your fingernails. Third, willingness to communicate. This is a quality, willingness to communicate. Humble, participating, plugged in, connected, team player, available, two-way communication. You're engaging. False humility says, I don't have anything to contribute to this chat, so I'll just listen. I won't say anything. God is sad. You have much to contribute. Fourth, coachable. Has a willingness to be vulnerable and a desire for greater clarity, is open to and welcomes compassionate feedback, takes guidance and suggestions. Hungry, humble, and smart. Fifth, not easily offended. Resilient, compassionate, broad shoulders, not looking to blame, genuinely invested in getting better. You don't have to compare who you are to what someone else is not, or who you're not compared to someone else is. It's not a conversation. We all already know we're individual. You don't have to continually acknowledge, I'm not like Leah. You know, that would make one of us unnecessary. So we all already know that. Not easily offended, resilient, compassionate, not looking to blame, genuinely invested in getting better. So Grace says that leaders who look at lack, what they don't have, what no one is doing for them, what isn't happening, that it's difficult to impossible to move that leader or that new consultant. But when we focus on and think about, what we feed on, that grows. And that these 5 things become a filtering process. They're a guide for where to focus, because all 5 of these things can be developed. They're not a part of your cellular process. They can all be developed, but only for the person, the new consultant, the leader who wants to grow. So as a leader, you ask yourself, do I have all 5 of these? Where are my gaps? Of your new people or your key people, you say, who has these qualities? Where are her gaps? So I'm going to wrap this up and just give you 4 reminders of where I'll invite you to take action based on what we did today. Number 1, assess where you are in your desire and your willingness to grow. What choice or communication would validate your willingness and desire to grow? Who will you tell? And how will you define and measure growth? Number 2, list your strengths. Not just your Gallup Strength Finder strengths, although those are your strengths, but specific things you do well. How can you swell those? At the same time and under the same number, face your weaknesses. What have you been dodging that actually addressing would bring you a new freedom and a newfound confidence? I remember the day I said, I'm going to create a party. I'm going to create the introduction, what to say on every page, how to close it out. It's still on my website. It has not changed. I memorized it. I wrote it. I memorized it, and I executed it. So what do you need to strengthen? You can learn new things. You can do hard things. As we hear both Leah and Julia said, define the one thing that would make the biggest difference in your increase to take on. Number 3, your new consultant inventory steps and new consultant. Let's take new consultant education first. Number 3, new consultant ed. Take a look and see if it accomplishes what you now believe would serve the new consultant best. If you don't have any new consultant systems, make a master list of what you'd want in a system for a new consultant the first 60 days and keep it bare bones and create a system for how you'll convey that. Number 4, consider your strategy and the direction for your initial inventory conversation. Make a list of common objections you normally get, and how could you preventively integrate this awareness in your presentation before you get the objection. With these 4 challenges, make an appointment with yourself to close everything else and address just these. If it does not turn into an appointment on your date book, it remains on a list. If it remains on a list, it creates stress and guilt and shame. These tweaks or creations don't have to be perfect, but the confidence and energy and excitement from putting them in place is going to absolutely position you for more. So that is what I've got for today.
Wow, Pam, the languaging that you use, the wording, the power statements, the effective questions, the vision casting, the positive interaction, just all of the language that you use with new consultants. I mean, so excellent, so on point, so high class. And I hope you can email these out, because I couldn't even have possibly written fast enough some of the questions that you had and some of the opening statements that you had for new consultants that helps them to vision cast and see this as a positive, exciting journey that you're going to be on with them. So good. And so I hope you can email that out. And one thing I wanted to say is, as next steps, just to really support what Pam gave to you guys, is that you've now had 3 hours of content from me several weeks ago, Julia 2 weeks ago, and just now what Pam gave you. And it's so rich, it's so full, it's such high-end training that my guess is you probably have not even had a chance to fully consume it and process it and pull away the nuggets. Okay, so I want to encourage you, like Pam just encouraged you, to make an appointment in your date book. Set a time that you will review this, possibly go over the notes. I know Julia's assistant, Anna, has been just diligently typing out the main points and the main takeaways. So take a chance to go through those and invest some time in thinking through, of all the information that you got, what can you use that can be most effective that you can pull away and implement. Okay, and we can't change everything overnight, but you can take a few things away and just slowly start implementing them. And maybe set a time frame, like, I want this done by the end of October or by the new year. I want to have my welcome packet nailed down. I want to know everything about credit and have some banks that I have relationships with. And I want to change the wording and the languaging I use in my new consultant welcome orientation. Mm-hmm. That would be an example of things you want to implement with a time frame and a deadline to implement them. But I know it's a lot. It was just a jam-packed 3-hour training on anything you could possibly want to know about new consultant systems. So when can you process? When can you pull away the nuggets and start implementing these things? So
good.
Yeah. Pam, that was that was incredible. I want to, add some things off of what Leah said. I just think back to the hashtag go find the batteries. That's what I'm thinking of. Right. When there would be, a big project, Leah would say, just my to-do step is go find the batteries. And then the next day would be go find the digital voice recorder. I mean, Leah, when you said that years ago, it took big, ominous, looming backpack baggage kind of systems that made it go, oh, just go find the batteries. And sometimes we don't put these systems in place because they're so overwhelming. And Pam, what I really heard from you was own it. Like, own it. And when you own it, you know it, and you're confident. And it goes back to our training we've had, you know, the last webinar and the one before that, of when you own it, you know it, and you just speak with so much more confidence. And Pam, I wanted to also say that when you talked about how at the very beginning, when you're bringing somebody in and speaking with them, that confidence comes through with, I know how to go somewhere and I know how to take you with me. And it reminded me of what I would say to new consultants when they were new. I would literally say, you are in the best unit in all of Mary Kay. Oh my gosh, you probably have no idea, but you are. And you, like, it's almost like you are the right place at the right time. And I just want you to know that you are going to so grow here, and I will teach you everything that I know. You just have to stay really close to me. And people would go, okay. And it was almost like, okay, good. I made a good decision. I'm in the right place. I picked the right person, and she's going to be able to, like, pour into me. And I would say, but I need you to stay close to me. Okay. And that's going to be, you know, the ball is in your courts. Keep staying close to me. I will teach you everything I know. And there's such confidence that goes, I am taking that confidence that I believe, and I'm transferring it to you, and you're going to believe because you're going to stay close to me, and you're at the right place at the right time. And I think that's so valuable. And that kind of confidence is so self-assuring that some of these concerns and objections that they may have to inventory or whatever next step is, they, not that they may not still have them, but they can stand in fullness of, like, okay, I made a good decision. I am self-assured. I'm going to trust her, trust my leader, trust her advice, and I'm going to just do what she advises me to do because I believe she can take me somewhere. And so that trumps a lot of these limiting beliefs that new people may come in with. And then it's the action that gives them the belief, okay, I just did something, I'm gaining skills, and she is taking me somewhere. And that builds confidence. Action builds confidence. So Pam, thank you. It was so well said. Well said.
Good. Hey, you know what? We're still the best show on the road for free.
Yeah. The best thing going for free.
We're the best thing going for free. That's what it is. Y'all can tell people that. We are the best thing going for free. So, Julia, it's your birthday tomorrow.
That's a big one.
Happy birthday, Julia.
Thanks. I'm going to buy myself a new computer. Surprise gift to myself.
Wait. 1, 2, 3. How many gifts is this, Leah, that she's buying for herself?
I know. We've been hearing about Julia's birthday gifts to herself for the past month.
Yeah, it's been a lot of big things
for my birthday.
Also for me.
I love it.
Also for me.
I love it. That's right. It's birthday. Well, I'm sure from all of us listening who don't, and I'm sure everyone will tell you again tomorrow too, but
thank you.
The number of lives you touch and the joy you bring.
Thank you.
It's no mathematical equation. It is exponential. It is amazing. And I will continually feel completely understated when I tell women who come into our unit that not only have they hit our amazing unit, but also our epic family because of the leaders who are a part of that they will forever be changed as soon as they get to know you. So thank you for being that leader and that person who continually grows. You're both just remarkable, and I adore every cell in your bodies and in your children's families' bodies, and feel so blessed. So it's easy to own telling people, man, they have no idea. They come in the Epic family, they have flipping hit the jackpot.
Yes, they have. Absolutely.
So I guess we're over now for now, right? Yes?
Yeah. Oh, our Epic affirmation?
Oh, yes. Who's got them?
I forgot them last time.
I forgot them this time. I bet Leah's got them.
I may have them.
I had them on my computer screen, but they're gone.
Oh, man.
They're on my desktop.
I've got them somewhere.
I remember rock those
wardrobe something.
Yeah, y'all are killing me.
Typo.
I mine are in my quiet time. I'm looking for a second option. Come on. Don't let me down.
I've got them in my fall advanced packet.
Well, Anna's got them because her computer still works. So here, we can do a.
Oh, wait, here they are. Who's got them?
Anna's got them.
Here we go.
All right. Ta-da. You got them? Here we go. Leah, do you have them?
Yep.
I'm slowly getting them.
Okay. I pray my life pleases you, oh God. Join in with me as soon as you get it. That you might grant me
wisdom, discernment, and joy
to lead those
you place under my care. Lord, I pray you have confidence in my obedience, knowing that I will do even more than you say.
God
bless me and surround me with your favor like a shield so that I can be a blessing to others. I am fully resourced to do everything you've called me to do. I do not eat the bread of idleness. I watch over my affairs and finances of my household as I am building a profitable and thriving business, a business that creates wealth and stability for my family. I give and it is given to me. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Lord, you provide more than enough. I wasn't called to an easy life. I was called to a purposeful life. I'd rather be exhausted by excellence than rested in mediocrity. I can do hard things. God equips me with the capacity I need to finish the race set before me. Never again will I be afraid. For the Lord has delivered me from all of my fears. And I am full of joy. And I am full of joy about my future. Awesome. Mm-hmm. That's right. And rock those
wardrobe pieces. With the Pentecostals.
Guys, I can't even.
That was great.
Hey, y'all. Hey, thank you for being on live today.
Yes.
It brings energy and it brings, thank you. So God bless you all. Right. And Julia, Leah.
Thank you.
Thank you.